She walked into the grand ballroom like she belonged there, even though just 12 hours earlier, she'd been serving coffee at a downtown café. No one knew who she was, but all eyes followed her as if they did. Her red satin gown, borrowed, clung to her like confidence, and the way she smiled at the crowd made it seem like she'd been dazzling high society her whole life. The chandeliers glittered above, violins played softly in the background, but the real music was in the way people whispered about the mysterious girl on the CEO's arm. Jackson Hale, billionaire tech CEO and notoriously private, had never brought a date to a public event before, not even when he was engaged. And tonight, of all nights, was the annual Monarch Gala, a high-profile benefit hosted by his ex-fiancée, Vivienne St. Clair, the woman who broke his heart, humiliated him in front of his peers, and left him days before their wedding because he wasn't elite enough. So when Jackson walked into her event, not just with a date but with someone who glowed like starlight, the world noticed. Her name was Eliza Reid. 26, no famous last name, no socialite background. Just a girl with a tired smile, 2 jobs, and dreams she folded away like laundry because life hadn't given her the luxury to chase them. That morning, Jackson had shown up at the café, trying to escape paparazzi after a stockholder meeting meltdown. She'd handed him coffee and asked, "Rough day," and something about the way she asked made him laugh, really laugh, for the first time in months. He left with more than just caffeine. He left with a wild idea. "Do something crazy with me tonight," he said. Eliza blinked. "Like, crime?" "No. A gala." She thought he was joking. When she realized he wasn't, she said no. 3 times. But when he told her why, told her it wasn't about revenge, but about reclaiming a piece of his dignity, she paused. And when she looked into his eyes, she saw a loneliness that mirrored her own. Maybe she wanted a taste of something magical, too. Something that didn't come with stress tips and double shifts. So she said yes. Jackson sent a car. Had a dress waiting. Even a stylist who cried at how natural and effortless Eliza looked. By the time they reached the gala, Jackson had almost forgotten the real reason he brought her. And when Vivienne spotted them from across the room, her champagne flute nearly slipped from her fingers. Vivienne approached with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Jackson," she purred, "you brought someone." Eliza extended her hand before he could respond. "Eliza Reid. And you are?" Vivienne blinked. For the first time in her life, someone didn't know, or didn't care, who she was. The night unfolded like a fairy tale. Eliza wasn't the richest, or the most polished, but she was genuine. When the heiresses bragged about yachts and shopping in Milan, she told stories about regulars at the café and her dream to open a bookstore with a reading corner for kids. She didn't try to impress, she just connected. And people loved her for it. The gala turned from a society event into something else entirely. Eliza danced with CEOs, laughed with politicians, and even got the notoriously stoic venture capitalist, Gerald Voss, to crack a smile. By midnight, she was the most talked-about woman in the room. But not everyone was charmed. Vivienne cornered Jackson near the balcony. "You're using her to get back at me," she hissed. Jackson looked her dead in the eye. "I brought her because she reminded me what real looks like." Vivienne scoffed. "She'll never belong in this world." He smiled. "Maybe this world doesn't deserve her." Meanwhile, Eliza stood alone in the ballroom, unsure of how to feel. The magic of the evening was starting to blur into something surreal. She wasn't supposed to be there. Tomorrow, she'd be back behind the counter, invisible again. Jackson found her staring out at the city skyline through the tall windows. "Do you regret saying yes?" She shook her head. "No. But I'm not like them, Jackson." "I know," he said softly. "That's why I chose you." Eliza's eyes shimmered. "This is your world. Not mine." He reached for her hand. Then maybe I need to change my world. Their moment was quiet. No fanfare. No music swelled. But it was real. A few days later, headlines screamed, "Mystery Woman Steals the Night at Monarch Gala." Social media buzzed with clips of Eliza laughing, dancing, and reminding the elite what humility and grace looked like. Offers came pouring in, for interviews, sponsorships, even a modeling deal. She turned them all down. Instead, she opened that bookstore. Jackson invested in it, not as a favor, but as a partner. And sometimes he showed up unannounced with coffee in hand and that same smile he wore the first day they met. People kept asking him if he'd ever marry again. He just looked at Eliza and said, "Maybe. But this time, I won't need a gala to prove I made the right choice." And as for Eliza, she became more than a headline. She became a reminder that grace doesn't come from wealth, and worth isn't measured in designer labels. Sometimes, all it takes to outshine a room full of diamonds, is to walk in like you already belong, with nothing but sincerity in your smile. And sometimes, the most powerful people in the room are the ones who don't even know it yet.